AI is about to get even crazier because Google just won the internet this week, releasing some massive new updates to AI. They announced some game-changing updates to Bard, Gmail, Google Maps, and Google Photos. In my opinion, this finally puts Google into the AI race against the likes of OpenAI and Microsoft. Because this is the first time Google has released something that is legitimately promising. We've been disappointed before, but let's take a closer look at those updates. Update number 1 is that there have been some major changes to Bard. The most significant change with Bard is that it is now trained on a massive data set, which allows it to do things like generate text, translate languages, write different kinds of creative content, and answer your questions in an intuitive way with much better logic than it was doing before. This is all happening because Bard is now running on the more powerful new model, PaLM 2. And Google has presented PaLM 2 as the direct competitor to OpenAI's GPT-4, which powers both ChatGPT and Bing. The thing I'm most excited about is that Bard is now available in 180 different countries and territories, so if you were not able to use it before, you probably can now. I am in Canada where we don't have it yet, but I was able to access it as soon as I turned on my VPN and set it to the United States. So your mileage may vary depending on where you are in the world. And in a couple of minor updates, Bard is now available in both Japanese and Korean, so if English isn't your first language, you can now start chatting to it directly in one of those languages. And Bard now has a dark mode, so you can turn on whenever you need to. So because Bard is now functioning on a new, more powerful model, what can it do better? How has it improved? The first new feature is that Bard is now Google search enabled. So whenever you are chatting with it, it can search and reference things on the internet when it's crafting its response, which means Bard can answer your questions more accurately and give you more context. Now, this is in line with what Bing already does and with what ChatGPT will be able to do if you have access to the web browser plugin. But this brings Bard up to par, up to speed with the other competitors. Another useful feature is the export from Bard straight into Gmail or Google Docs. So this can be really useful if you are, crafting a response to an email and you want to take exactly what Bard spits out and reply to an email with that. You can click this export button down here and it will bring up that response into a new draft email. This is really great because it saves time and really streamlines the process. You don't have to be copying, pasting between different apps. The new Bard is now much better at coding than it was before. According to Google's announcement, Bard can now help generate, explain, and debug code in 20 different programming languages. So I am personally not a coder, so I can't speak for how good or bad it is. But if you have played around with getting Bard to code for you, I'd love to hear your experiences. So drop me a comment below. Is it useful? Is it not? Is it better than Bing or ChatGPT, or is it worse? Let me know below. Bard will also have a new feature where it can generate images directly by using Adobe Firefly. Now, instead of having to go over to Firefly or go over to use something like Stable Diffusion or Midjourney, you can actually chat with Bard and get it to create the thing right inside the chat app. This is similar to what Bing has, except with Bing, it'll be generating images through DALL-E. With Bard, it's going to be Adobe Firefly. Some thoughts on Bard compared to other apps like ChatGPT and Bing. With this new update, it was the first time I actually used Bard. I had always heard before that it wasn't very good. It wasn't up to par with ChatGPT or Bing, so I kind of just avoided it. But I logged in and started playing around with it, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by how capable it was. It does feel a lot different than ChatGPT or Bing. From my experience, it's a lot more succinct. It gives you shorter, more to the point responses than ChatGPT or Bing. I like it so far. I think I can probably use it for different processes. I'm gonna have to do some comparing with the others just to see if it performs better or worse, but for something quick and short, I find it really useful. It did a pretty good job at answering my questions. It hallucinated a little bit, gave me a few things that were wrong, but for the most part, it was pretty good with accuracy. One thing I liked about it though is there's a Google it button that shows up in its response. So if I wanna go and double check or fact check something that it said, I can click that Google it button and then start the search to see if it was right. The thing I appreciated most with Bard is it had a lot less of the annoying disclaimers that ChatGPT and Bing like to put at the front of any response. So you get a lot of, with ChatGPT, if you ask it a certain thing, it'll say something like, I'm just a large language model and I don't have experience with XYZ. consult a professional for this. So that gets really annoying. And I found that ChatGPT has been doing that a lot more lately. So I don't know if they've been toying with the restrictions and the guardrails on that. But with the experimenting I've done so far with Bard, it hasn't given me any of that kind of bullshit. But again, I did not use the previous version of Bard that was built on the Lambda model. So I'm curious if you have experienced both, if you think it's a big improvement or not. Drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. Major update number 2 comes to Gmail. And the biggest new thing here is the help me write mode. This is meant to help you craft your email responses or generate the whole email automatically on its own. According to Google, the help me write mode is gonna be able to suggest relevant phrases, complete sentences, and even generate entire emails for you. So in the example they use help me write mode to help respond to an email from an airline where you want to request a refund. And all you have to do is go down and click the help me write button and specify what you want it to reply with. So saying that you want it to request a refund and then let it generate a response. Now the first response it gives is pretty short and succinct, but if you want it to elaborate and maybe have a better chance of getting that refund, you can go and ask it to do that and write you a longer response. I think this is going to be really useful to have embedded right into Gmail so you don't have to go back and forth with Bard or ChatGPT or whatever LLM you're using. And because help me write mode is able to see all of the context within the email chain or between you and the same respondent in the past, it's going to be able to pull that context and refer to it in the emails that it crafts. So obviously ChatGPT is not going to have reference to that if you're just pasting in a single email to reply to. But this is going to be super, super helpful. It'll also be useful, of course, like in the example, to handle all of these sorts of customer service kind of requests, annoying things, canceling things, setting up appointments and meetings, all of that stuff. This is going to be great for that. I imagine at some point it's going to end up being AI on our side responding to emails written by an AI on the professional side as well, which is going to be interesting because I don't know if anybody's going to be reading and responding to their own emails. But the bad news is this is not rolled out to everybody yet. According to Google, the Help Me Write feature is currently in beta and is only available to a limited number of users. And this is going to be rolled out in the weeks and months to come. So if you don't see that little Help Me Write button in your email response, then you unfortunately don't have it just yet. I don't. So it is what it is. Big update number 3 comes to Google Maps, and it is the release of something called Immersive View. In the demo they gave, they show this neat feature that uses AI to create a 3D model of your surroundings. So you can see exactly what your route is going to look like when you are trying to get directions to somewhere. So it's going to generate that and give you a kind of bird's eye view of your path that you're going to take, which is pretty useful because now you can look out for certain landmarks to help you find your way. This is going to give you a better visual field and help you get where you're going. It's also going to allow you to see live traffic and the weather. It's pretty cool. It's starting to feel like we're actually living in the future. Big update number 4 comes to Google Photos, and the big AI ad here is with the Magic Editor. So this is a new feature that's going to use AI to help you improve your photos and edit them without having to rely on tools like Photoshop. So with just a few clicks, you're going to be able to remove unwanted objects, enhance colors, move things around, and even add in creative effects. I'm sure this is going to help save a lot of time, help you make your photos look better without having to, spend all that time and money on Photoshop, which I spend a lot of time personally in Photoshop. And if I can do this with a couple of clicks using AI, I know I'm going to be using that. I don't know about you. Some of these features are available now, but a lot are going to be rolled out in the coming weeks and months. Who knows how long that's going to take? You never really know with these guys. I understand there's a lot of promising going on and not all of it manifests in a timely manner. So we'll see what happens, but I'm really looking forward to trying out all of these new features. But of course, being able to craft good prompts is a very useful skill to have right now. And if you have a good framework for coming up with good prompts that you can use with Bard or Bing or ChatGPT, this can help get you ahead in a competitive environment. I've put together a little PDF cheat sheet with my best tips and tricks for coming up with really good and useful prompts for Bing, ChatGPT, and Bard as well. This works for all of them. So if you want to grab a copy of that for yourself, you can grab that at the link in the description below. It is 100% free. So those are the biggest new updates coming from Google and Bard. I hope you found something in there that was useful. But while we're waiting for these things to get rolled out, like that useful help me write feature, for now you can improve your writing substantially by using ChatGPT. Check out this video over here to learn 6 ChatGPT secrets to help you improve your writing overnight. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.